Uh-oh. SOS. Really vibing with the Australians. Alright, so today we're doing a shadow and schmooze from Barcelona. So I'm in Spain right now. We're going to be doing this makeup look, catching up, talking. If you're new here, shadow and schmooze is where I just put makeup on and talk. I'll have all the makeup I used on my face today listed down below in the description box if you want to check anything out. But let's just start chatting and get into it. Here we go. So about an hour and a half ago, I'm, waking up early to get this filmed, get everything set up, and then Exhibit A happens. As per usual, I have great filming timing. I'm literally right under the one unit that has construction happening right now in the entire building. But it has been quiet for about 20 minutes now, so fingers crossed. I'm just gonna start filming and hope we have some silence. Okay, I've been making a list of topics that I wanted to touch on in today's Shadow and Schmooze, so I'm excited. We have a lot to chat about. I just have on the Glossier SPF right now. I'm gonna do a little bit of this primer because I'm still testing this, the NYX Plump Right Back. It's very tacky, very sticky. Ooh, I need a mirror. Right now you are on top of an ironing board on top of an ice box. Look at this, I have obtained an actual mirror. Oh my god, it's really close. Okay, that's not gonna work. It's like a magnified mirror. I'm gonna be filming this entire video using this little mirror, so here we go. I do want to try, I have this little sample thing that I've been carrying around of the Westman Atelier Vital Stick Foundation. I might do some of these samples and see what I think. It's a stick foundation, it says your skin naturally enhanced, natural radiant finish. So let's pop this open. I'm gonna go with the medium shades. So I'm currently in Barcelona. This is actually my second day here, second full day. Uh-oh, had a little drill. Not what I like to hear. Oh, shit. I'm gonna keep going. This doesn't look like a lot of product, but we'll see. So yesterday I did a walking tour in Barcelona, and just off of first impressions so far, I am obsessed with Barcelona. Could very much so see myself living here for a year or two. It is really pretty. It's spread out, green, the architecture is incredible. Food so far has been good. There's a beach, the water, friendly. That shade's maybe a little dark, maybe not. This is hard to blend out. Feels pretty stiff and dry. Using my Haley's Beauty Kabuki brush. I'm just kind of trying to warm this up with my fingers and blend it in because it feels really hard to blend out. So you guys are actually seeing this in somewhat real time for me. I'm filming this a few days before you're seeing it. I still have a couple Italy vlogs going up. Well, I have 2 Florence vlogs, 1 Rome vlog that's coming, so I wanted to kind of break up the vlogs. Last Shadow and Schmooze I did was in Jordan, if you missed that one. But I talked all about Italy, what I thought of it, how it is traveling there in the summer, everything in depth in those vlogs, especially in the Rome one that's coming. So I'm not gonna go too much into that here, but I don't know, man, when I'm traveling, especially in other countries, I just feel freaking alive. I just love traveling and being in other places, and for me it's I'm getting half a thought out and then the drilling starts. I've always loved traveling, but I feel especially since COVID and lockdowns, it's just you have a new appreciation for certain things that, we weren't able to do during lockdowns, and especially going abroad. I mean, I think the rest of the world feels the same way because it's crazy right now. Traveling in the summer, it's nuts. And what I've heard is more so than usual. But I think people are just really excited to be able to travel again. I would say I'm getting about medium coverage, high medium coverage. I can still see stuff coming through, and I did use, as much as I could out of the little sample thing. But yeah, I'm just very, very thankful to be able to do what I'm doing right now. And I think one of the things I wanted to talk about is not the exact cost, but just how I'm doing this, because that's one of the things I get asked about the most. I use the Makeup by Mario Brow Gel, and I think some people might be surprised to hear that for me, all this traveling, whether it's in the US or abroad, I'm actually, even with the flights and stuff, so far I've kept it under what I was paying in Seattle each month, because you have to think about I don't have any bills right now. I don't have any of the extra things that you pay for when you're living somewhere. I don't have any rent, obviously. I don't have car insurance. I don't have a car. All these added things that add up when you're living somewhere permanently. If you're doing the nomad thing, whatever you want to call it, you just don't have as many expenses. Right now, I just am paying for healthcare, and I'm paying for still health stuff in other countries. I still do my PT, massage, whatever, every 5 days here, but that's cheaper. That's been cheaper in every single country I've been. But yeah, you just can kind of avoid a lot of expenses if you do the nomad thing. Obviously, you know, it depends on what your budget currently is and everything. But if you want to travel or live in other countries, there is a way to do it like very affordably. And a lot of people do it. You can join Facebook groups. There's a lot of different like digital nomad visas now in a bunch of countries where you can stay up to a year or up to 3 years in some places with little or no taxes. You're paying US taxes, but not the country that you're living in. If you wanted to, you could be staying in hostels. There's a lot of different like co-working spaces now where you can rent out a room in different places. You can do trusted house sitters where you literally stay for free and watch people's pets in other countries. Like there's ways to make it work for very cheap and likely cheaper than what you're spending per month in the US. And I think people don't realize that. So I just want to put that out there because I've gotten some comments where it's like, you know, I wish I could do this or whatever. And yeah, obviously it depends on your situation, but there are ways to live very, very affordably in other countries. For example, like a flight might be expensive to Europe or to wherever, but once you get over there and just budget that in, you can rent out like an entire place in Croatia, for example, for literally $300 to $500 US per month. So when you start doing the research, you'll see that it can be very doable for a lot of people. And once you're over here, like say, for example, a flight to Croatia might be $700, $800. But once you're over there, the rent and food and everything is so much cheaper that it actually pans out to be probably around the same what you might be paying in the US. So I just want to put that out there because I feel like some people might think it's not as attainable as it might be for you. And here's the thing, like when you're traveling, I talked about this a bit in the Nomad Q&A video, like the 6-month one, I talked a lot about different ways that you can travel for cheaper. But once you start, you'll meet people who have like lived on certain, you know, whatever, like banana farms for 5 months or just volunteered and got to stay places for free for a few months. There's a lot of ways. You can work in hostels. Like there's so many ways. And for me, I've just been trying to balance it out and like budget it. So some months I might be paying half of what I was paying living in the US. Some months I might be paying a little bit more, but it all kind of like evens out. So for me, it's actually been, yeah, like about the same as what I was paying. It gets more expensive when you have to stay like only for a week or something. Unless you're staying in hostels, then you can still find hostels for like literally $10 to $25 per night in certain countries. I'm staying mostly in Airbnbs, and if you stay for a month, that's where you get really good discounts. So if you're bouncing around and staying in places for shorter amounts of time, that's where it gets a little bit more expensive. One of the things that I haven't expected is just how much of like a freeing feeling it is to not have attachment to things. I'm sure you guys feel this too, but when I had an apartment, there was always something to clean. There was always something to reorganize, to put away. There was just like always stuff everywhere. And part of that was filming. Like filming does create a literal disaster. And just like the volume of makeup I was filming with and everything, it's never ending. When you don't have a permanent place and you don't have those bills and you don't have just like stuff everywhere, it feels free, man. You feel light. Like I can literally pack up all the stuff I have with me right now within 20 minutes and just go. And it's, I don't know, it's just like such a cool feeling. Do I miss certain things about having an apartment? Yeah, for sure. But like in the grand scheme of things, those are literally so small. I don't know, I just feel I feel good like in this lifestyle. I don't really miss a whole lot about having a permanent place. And it's so crazy to me because when I started all of this, I literally thought I was going to be traveling to a few different US cities and then like picking somewhere to move to. And then it's kind of just like morphed and evolved into this. I don't see like a timeline right now of like when I'm gonna stop doing this because it's kind of like, why? Like if I'm literally, like I said, spinning around the same as I was in the US, but getting to travel and see all these places, why not, Anne? Why not? And again, I feel like very grateful that I can do that and that I am doing that and that my job is remote. But there's a lot of people doing it. Like when I'm in these places, you meet a lot of people who are working remote, especially since COVID. There's so many remote jobs now that there's literally Airbnbs that like in the title of the Airbnb, it says like good for nomad living or good for remote work because they have like super fast Wi-Fi. That is so crazy and cool that we're living in an era where that's possible, you know? And if you are a freelancer who's doing remote work, go on Upwork. There's a lot of jobs on Upwork. You can do like basic things, like you can copyright for Amazon listings. Like there's so many different opportunities now. I thought this green top was gonna be really cute, but no, I'm just having to pull it up every 2 seconds so I don't look totally naked. I'm gonna try using this again for a contour. I haven't used this in a while for like a cream bronzer contour. LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Warm Sand. It is a concealer, so I'm just gonna use a small amount. I am excited though to get back to the US just for filming because I have so many videos I want to film there. I get to Atlanta, so after Barcelona, I'm going to Atlanta for about a week and a half. Then I'm going somewhere else close by, which I'll tell you when it gets closer. But I'm basically timing it so that I'm abroad for a couple months and then back in the US for a couple months for visas, but also so I can get my injections and do all my health stuff, go to the doctors, get prescriptions, all of that, and then leave again. That was one of the questions I got on Instagram. I did talk about all the prep I did in a whole video. I did a video on like international prep for 2 months of travel. I talked about how to do your insurance and prescriptions and everything if you're like curious about that topic, but you just have to do it all in advance. Ooh, that was way too much. Uh-oh. SOS. Way too much. The shade actually kind of looks like blush. I don't know if it's mixing in with my cream blush that was on the brush right now, but the other thing I got asked about is just like prices in other countries, and obviously it's super dependent on the country you're in, so I'm just gonna speak from like the last 2 places I've been. But certain things in Italy that are much cheaper and that I found are cheaper in most other countries are fresh food, like fresh produce, vegetables, usually cheaper in other countries and just better, like they just taste better. Basically any kind of healthy food. Healthy food in other countries is usually cheaper. In Italy, alcohol, wine is so cheap, so cheap. For my forehead bronzer, I'm gonna use my Morning Dew. I was right. It was funny when I was on the tour yesterday, someone asked like how much an apartment would be. We were right in front of, I forget which cathedral, but we were in front of a cathedral, and someone asked like what that apartment would be right there that was looking down at it, and he was like, probably 1,600, and we're like, 1,600, okay, for a studio, and he's like, no, for a 3-bed, and we're like, oh yeah, okay. Like the fact that 1,600 for a studio is just like what we were all expecting. Also, everyone was from Chicago actually on that tour. There were literally 3 other couples, and they were all from Chicago. Obviously, you have to take into account like for people living in countries where for us rent is like relatively cheaper, their wages are typically much lower, so it tends to be kind of relative. But just in terms of traveling, like maybe you're just traveling, not planning on moving somewhere or living somewhere, a lot of things are so much cheaper than you might expect when you're traveling, just based on what we're used to in the US. Also, just wanted to reiterate, this really depends on the country. Like, for example, when I was in Iceland and Norway, that was so expensive, like way more expensive than the US. I'm just gonna add a little bit to the front of my brows. I think I started saying this, but then I probably got sidetracked by drilling or something. But I feel like the best way, if you're traveling and not planning on staying somewhere or can't stay somewhere a long time, definitely try to go to multiple countries within your trip, because the most expensive plane flight is from the US to wherever you're going. But then once you're there, you can usually get around pretty affordably through mostly like trains and planes, Ryanair, for very cheap. Like my flight from Italy to Barcelona was $32. Barcelona, by the way, was the best. That was the best airport experience I've ever had. It was so easy to fly into. I don't know if I was just in like the good terminal or what. Going with this thing that I got showed in my one of the Italy vlogs, the second one. I've been using this shade as a cream blush. Like I said, I'm going to Atlanta after Barcelona, and I am actually very excited and curious to see what I think of Atlanta, because it's actually just like looking at everything on paper, it's really high up now on my possible to move list. It has a lot of the things I'm looking for. I've been there before, but I don't feel like I got a good lay of the land, and it was a long time ago. And it's a green city, which that's one of the things I'm like really trying to think about with Austin. Yes, there are like some trees, but I just love green. I love, obviously, like, you know, Seattle, Oregon, like I love Pacific Northwest green, and Atlanta is super green. There's tons of trees, tons of parks. It's much bigger than Austin. It's a big city, and there's seasons. That's also a big win for me. Like they have a full fall there with like fall colors, okay? And the winter is pretty mild. Summer is brutal. Summer in the south, very hot, humid, but again, there's AC everywhere. But the spring is supposed to be amazing. So I like that there are seasons, and I like that it's a good hub. Like there's a really good airport, and I've heard it's really friendly. I've heard it's a good dating city. We'll see. So a big selling point for me is that it's actually only a 4-hour drive to my grandparents' house in North Carolina. And I just think that would be really cool to be like in driving distance to family. I was gonna say I haven't had that in a long time, but I haven't had that ever. And I didn't realize it was that close. I'm gonna go with my Sydney Grace highlighter in Satin Kicks. This is so pretty. I think I'm also gonna use this for a little eyeshadow today. I am curious though, if you live in Atlanta and you have health issues, please let me know how the whole doctor situation is there and healthcare in general. Relative to some other big cities, again, the cost of living in Atlanta is a little bit lower. It's pricey, like it is pricier in the last few years, but I mean, everywhere is. Traffic is something that everyone brought up on Instagram, but it's funny. I've talked to people who have lived in cities with like a lot of traffic, like Seattle, LA, whatever. And I think it might be relative because I think the Atlanta traffic has gotten worse. But if you're coming from a city like Seattle, where the traffic is literally terrible, it's probably around the same. But if you're someone who hates traffic and that like drives you crazy, then yeah, of course that would be like an issue. And then crime is something that people also brought up with Atlanta, also with Chicago. I just think in most big cities that you're in, there's going to be crime. I think if you like want to live in that city, do what you can to be smart, not walk alone at night, which I don't do in most places anyway, and like avoid certain areas. It's also like a foodie city, I've heard, like good food, diverse. So yeah, it's up there. We'll see. Really curious to see when I'm actually like there what I think of it. I'm staying in one of the areas that I would potentially want to live in, so I'll get a feel for like how that is. I know now 2 people, 3-ish who live there. But yeah, if you live in Atlanta, let me know what you think. Okay, let's talk about dating. How it's been in other countries. Ladies, I've got to say, ladies in the US, we need to step it up with our expectations, okay, for dates. I saw a TikTok on a girl who was talking about like the differences with dating and first dates in other countries, especially like in European countries versus the US. And if I can find it, I'll link it down below, but I really agree with a lot of what she was saying. Our bar is so low for American dudes, it's not even funny. I'm finding that I'm really into Australian dudes, who knew? Really vibing with the Australians. But so far, Barcelona and Rome have both had a lot of people who live there from other countries, expats living there. And for me, that's kind of ideal because you know that you're both like aligned on that aspect to begin with. Like in order to do that, you have to be a bit adventurous, you have to be like open to other cultures, living in different countries, and that's something that I do look for. And if you're already in a place where people are doing that or who are also like working remote, it's just like you already have that in common. Rome has probably the most insane number of beautiful men I've ever seen in my life. Like, you know, when you're on the dating apps and at first, when you first get on, they're giving you like, this is just what they do. I've read articles about this. When you first get to a new city or change your city on the apps, they give you, I think, like the statistically most swiped people first, which is messed up when you think about it, that there's like an actual algorithm to figure out like who is the most attractive based on how many people are swiping on them. But I've heard that in order to keep you like engaged on the apps, they actually like feed you those people first. So, you know, whenever you get to a new city, you're like, okay, I'm going to be getting these guys first. Rough. So usually you're swiping and that kind of like dies out. I kept waiting for that to happen in Rome, okay? It was not happening. It was pretty endless. They just kept coming. I'm going with the Satin Kicks highlighter to use that as eyeshadow. But yeah, I have been on a few dates and they've all been fun. Like nothing, you know, crazy, but just good dates, fun times, and good to like have people to go do stuff with. It's always fun just for that too when you're traveling. Like someone asked if I would like move somewhere if I met someone. Obviously I wouldn't, you know, move to a place right away for someone, but like if I met someone amazing and it was something that had a lot of potential, I'm not tied down to a place right now at all. I am also open to living in other countries, so that's not like a deal breaker for me. If it was like everything else was great and good and, you know, working out, yeah, that's not a deal breaker for me. I wouldn't pick up and move right away and be like, all right. I definitely would be open to living in other countries. If I'm thinking about long term, I would want to probably like bounce back and forth if I could. The one thing with that, it's interesting because like YouTube, obviously I can't do remote, I'm doing it right now, but if I lived abroad full time, that would affect things for sure, because you just don't have access to the same brands and products and collaborations and stuff. Like that would be something to consider, but it's just kind of thinking about all of that and prioritizing like what's really most important to me at this point in my life, you know? So we'll see. One thing I like is not knowing. I like not knowing where life is going. I thrive in the unknown because I'm just like, ooh, I'm gonna do whatever and see what happens. You're coming along on that if you want to or not. Let me know if you guys are that way or if you like having everything planned out and like knowing where your life is going. I do both. I like think about the long-term things and try to work towards where I eventually want to be. And I really plan out my days. Like I'm a hardcore day planner, but I also just really go with the flow and figure it out as far as just like life. One thing I'd have to figure out if I lived abroad though is this deodorant situation. Man, That's my one word of advice. Bring stick deodorant. It's hard to find good stick deodorant here. I'm gonna take a little bit more of the highlighter on my finger and just press it on to really get it to pop. After Italy, I ate so much pasta and so many carbs that I am currently in a zone where for the last week, I've just been craving healthy things, which rarely happens to me. I rarely crave healthy food. I've been craving just like plain like chicken, salad, fruit. I think my body is like, please stop feeding me carbonara. That'd be great. One thing I was thinking about the other day is on the dating apps, if you're someone who believes in soulmates, do you think that if you know how sometimes you're like quickly swiping, okay, you're swiping away, you're getting wild. Do you think that if you accidentally swiped left on someone that you would somehow reconnect or like meet in real life or something? Do you think you would end up running into them? I don't believe in like a singular soulmate. I think there's so many people in the world that you probably have like multiple people that you can have a really strong like soul connection with. But I was just thinking about the other day, I was like, have I accidentally swiped left on someone that I actually would have really gotten along with? I'm sure. Now that I've been dating in different places, I really don't think it's true that everywhere is hard to date or everywhere sucks at dating now. It's not true. There are better cities for dating. After Atlanta, I think I'll share like what I think my tops are. Going in with Lottie London Super Fake. I'm on the fence if I want to do lashes. I kind of wanted to so I could show you guys when I did my top 5 things that transformed my makeup video. Some people are asking to see how I apply the lashes, like the corner lashes to get the lifted look. So I think I'm going to show you that. So first I just do a thin coat of mascara. I'm not going to do like my full mascara because I'm putting lashes over top anyway. Okay, so I just have a couple pairs here. I'll do it with these ones because I need to trim these. So basically what I do, this is the full pair of lashes that hasn't been trimmed yet. I really don't know which ones these are. See how it comes all the way in to my inner corner? What I'm going to do and what I've been doing with lashes is just putting them on like the outer third of my eye, and it just really like lifts my eyes and opens my eyes for me. If I put lashes towards the inner corner, I've just found that it just kind of like covers my whole eye. When I'm trimming these, and you can, like I said, you can do this with any pair. I actually don't want to take the outer half, like the longest part. Don't take that part, because if you do that, it's going to be like your natural lashes, which are naturally a little bit shorter, and then it'll just go from like nothing to like super long. Or if you do want that length on the edge, you could use the long part, but then put it on a couple individual lashes towards the beginning just to kind of like fade it in. But that's just like more work and you really don't need to do that. Cut a little bit there, cut a little bit there, and you can use like that middle part. Or if you have really short natural lashes, you might just want to use the first half of the lash so that it all just like blends more seamlessly. So with this pair, I'm just going to kind of like line it up and see if I need to use the very front or if I can do like the middle. So I'm just like picturing it from there. See, I need to use the front on these since they are a bit longer. If it's a pair like this where they're a little bit more wispy cut in between the clusters that you see, it's hard to do on camera. Let's start there. So I'm gonna see how that looks when I line it up to my eye. I think I'm gonna have to cut a little bit more off. And keep in mind, it's gonna go out a little bit past your natural lash on the edge, so you don't wanna cut too much off where you can't do that. See how much that changes your eye. The glue I use is the Kiss Aloe. Where art thou? This one's the best. I've repurchased this so many times now. What I'm doing, you can do with pretty much any pair of lashes. You can just like taper it yourself. So I try to choose a pair that has a good angled to it already and like a good taper, but if it doesn't have the taper, you can actually just go and like give your lashes a little bit of a trim towards the front, make them more angled and more tapered. So if you have some lashes laying around that you don't like the shape of, that would be good to like practice on. You can try to, you know, just chop those lashes, but don't go in and like bluntly cut it. You just kind of want to trim it like you would hair, where you're kind of like going in at an angle like this, like straight on to trim, rather than like doing a straight across trim. This is a full science here, okay? I love, by the way, your Instagram messages. I try to respond to as many as I can. I usually, if it's like a common question, I'll screenshot it and put it on my stories. So if you're not following me on Instagram, that's usually where I like connect with you guys the most. And oh, speaking of social media, I wanted to say, YouTube, if you get any kind of comment from what looks like me with my photo from like WhatsApp, Telegram, telling you to like do things that you want to give away, that is spam. It's spam. YouTube doesn't filter out spam comments well. They haven't quite figured that out. It's happening every single video, and I try to block as many of those channels that I see, but there's so many comments. It's literally on every single video, and they'll just go through and reply to everyone who comments. So if you ever see a giveaway like that, I don't do WhatsApp or Telegram. Will never ask you to like send me money for anything, nothing. If there's a giveaway going on, I pay for shipping, and I currently don't have any giveaways going on. So just know that those are spam. Don't give people your information. Okay, I just popped those on and wasn't even talking. Line it up to your eye, put it about halfway or a third is where I usually start it. See how big that makes your eye look? And on the end, you can kind of play around with it before it's totally dry, but I usually like to lift the end up a little bit, and I like to wait until it's fully dry, and then I'll press my natural lashes together with it, which also helps to kind of lift. So I do have right now through, what do I have? Through January, actually, middle of January figured out as far as where I'll be, where I'm going. One of my best friends is getting married in January in LA, so I'll be back in San Diego for Christmas, and actually my family from North Carolina is coming. Hopefully Tahoe, we'll see. Hopefully my cousins. We haven't had a Christmas together in a long time. Different things, but I'm excited for that. I'm really excited, you guys. There's gonna be some really cool vlogs and videos coming. By the way, I'm really thankful and happy that a lot of you guys love the vlogs. And even if you're not a vlog person or a travel vlog person, I know some people like vlogs but not travel vlogs, you might still like them because I do still talk to you guys like I do in my vlogs and share like day-to-day stuff and some makeup stuff and hauls and whatever. I talked a little bit about this on Instagram, but I just am so thankful to have an audience where obviously my content has like evolved over the last couple years especially, and I would say now I'm like half lifestyle and makeup, whereas years ago I was like almost all makeup. I would do a vlog maybe like once every 2 months or something, and I'm just really thankful that you guys have kind of like evolved with me on that. And there's so many different things I like to talk about, and I have different interests, and I still love makeup and I'll still be doing makeup, but it's not like my sole focus now. And so I just want to say thank you guys for allowing me to kind of expand and do different kind of videos and watching what I put out still. It's been really cool, and like just talking about different topics on Instagram, sometimes I'm like shocked what you guys are actually interested in. I don't know, I feel like there was a phase on YouTube where makeup people especially, I think we thought like, or at least me, I'll just speak for myself, I thought like all people want to hear me talk about is makeup or foundation or whatever, and you're kind of like put into this box, and to be like acknowledged as more of like an actual human, a human who has other interests and can talk about things besides just products is very nice. So thank you. So I kind of try to make sure before it's fully dry if I need to do anything like different to make these match. My lashes always look like a bit different on my eyes. They are different shapes. So now that they're drying down, I'll kind of use my fingers. I don't like using tweezers for this, you can, but clamp my natural lashes with false lashes, and that does change how they look. It makes it look like a bit less dramatic, more natural. Wow, they are still going. I'm going to take eyeliner and just go right over top of the band, but not really put it on my actual eye a whole lot. Just make sure that the band is covered. It's funny, when I'm thinking about what I want to talk about in videos sometimes, I do this especially with vlogs, I'll be like thinking about stuff in the shower, and I'll think so far into the topic that I feel like I talked to you guys about it, and then I realize when I'm editing back the vlog or the video, like, oh, that was all in my head. I didn't actually have that conversation with them, which is why I usually will write down things when I think of them to talk about in videos. I don't ever like script my videos. I don't think I've ever fully scripted a video ever. Some people do that, it's wild. Like some people really like fully script a video and then sit down and film so that they have like minimal editing and they literally just crank through what they're gonna say. I can't imagine ever doing that. I just talk and say what comes out of my mouth. I'm gonna do AOA Tall Lash Mascara on the lower lashes. This is so nice for the lower lashes because look at this wand. It's like the tiniest comb wand ever. I also have not been putting as much mascara towards the inner part of my lashes on the bottom. This side never goes as well for me because of the angle. If there are any specific videos you guys want to see when I'm back in the US or now, do let me know, because I am just going off what I think. We gotta go warm with the tones happening. I'm gonna do Natasha Denona. I need a rose. If I want really warm, I've actually still been taking this cream blush by AOA. It's in the shade Rosewood, and it's like a pretty peachy color. It looks really pretty on the lips, actually. It's not pretty, it's just like a pretty corally kind of lip. You know what, we gotta do it. Lawless Daisy Pink. I'm gonna have to repurchase this soon. I'm literally almost out. I don't remember the last time I fully finished off a lip gloss. Everything about this is amazing. They did recently come out with a lip mask that I'm 100% gonna get, and also so many of you have been tagging me in the Makeup by Mario. He just launched like a sheer pink lipstick, and it looks exactly like the Glossier Loose Light, like that kind of pink color that I love. I've gotten so much makeup sent to my grandma's house so I can film a bunch of like makeup videos when I'm there, because I'm excited to try a bunch of the new stuff and test it for you guys, so that will be coming. So here's the makeup up close. The foundation, from what I can see, it's not looking bad. I just don't love how it blended out, and it's looking a little heavy on my upper lip, And then a little bit around my pores. Like it's definitely, I can just like see it on my pores. But that foundation is so expensive. I think that foundation stick is like around $60. So just off of first impressions, like there's no way I would purchase the full stick foundation for $60. It's not looking that incredible. So that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the Shadow and Schmooze, enjoyed hanging out. I'm gonna have everything I talked about today listed down below in the description box, along with the dress I'm wearing, the necklaces, anything else I can link, it's down below always. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye. So I was just in Italy for... you just gotta laugh, you know? What else can you do? We're gonna get through this.